Hi, I'm Adam,
This is Kevin.
and we are Tech Guys Who Invest. This is the place for business people and investors to learn all about investing. We offer a fresh perspective on what it's like to have a day job while investing, and we share lessons learned on our investing journey. Our vision is to educate and entertain you while adding tons of value to your daily commute. Welcome to our show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Tech Guys Who Invest podcast, where each week we teach you how to invest wisely and safely. Now, this week's episode is all about goals. I share my goals, Adam shares his goals, and then we talk about a goal that the Tech Guys Who Invest podcast has as well. That, of course, as you'll hear in the episode, is going to be 250 reviews from our listeners. Now, the reviews are going to serve a tremendous purpose for us. They're going to help us by increasing our reach to the number of people that listen to the show. We believe in what we have to say when it comes to helping others understand how to invest, and we want to inspire as many people as we can to take control of their financial journey to create wealth for themselves and for their family. In the episode, you'll hear the URL reviews.tgwipodcast.com. That URL is no longer valid. Instead, the correct URL to leave us a review is going to be tgwipodcast.com/review. On that landing page, you'll get instructions on how to do it, why it's important, and a direct link to the Apple Podcast review page where you can leave us whatever honest review you feel we deserve. Whether it's 5 stars, which of course we would love, or if it's something less, please just leave us feedback so that we can improve as your host and provide you with the content that you are looking for. Again, that URL is tgwipodcast.com/review. Thanks, everybody.
This episode of Tech Guys Who Invest is brought to you by Dreamstone Investments. Dreamstone is a multifamily real estate operator based in Atlanta, Georgia, and Tampa, Florida. Dreamstone specializes in finding and acquiring off-market value-add deals across the southeastern part of the U.S. Dreamstone creates immense value by ensuring the tenants are treated like residents and by adding the Dreamstone touch to each of our communities. To schedule a call to find out more about their current offerings and to see how you can partner with them, please send an email to info@dreamstoneinvest.com. You can also check out their website at dreamstoneinvest.com.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Tech Guys Who Invest podcast. Today, this is the beginning of 2020, and we're here to talk to you about goals. The importance of goals, our goals as individual investors, and goals for the show. So, Adam, what would you say is important about creating goals for yourself?
Yeah, Kevin, I think it's essential to maximizing your performance. All high-performing individuals, teams, and organizations set goals. It's really important because it gives you something to strive for, and it helps you focus your energy. As we know, focus is really instrumental in achieving high performance and achieving milestones and things you want to accomplish. Setting goals helps you do that because it really, provides something that you can just work towards. And when other things come up that may otherwise distract you, you can ask yourself, will this help me accomplish my goal? And then that helps you make kind of a determination about whether spending energy on that other thing is a valuable use of your limited source. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you've said. Before I give my input, I just want to ask you, as your day job is to coach businesses. We're talking large enterprises on how to transform. I'm assuming there's some goal setting in there. Can you help us understand, are all goals made the same?
Yeah, it's a good question. And they're not. And we use multiple goals. We'll use different layers of goals. So we're also looking for a vision. Let's talk about a startup creating software, and they have a product vision of some sort. And so we use that to help them then form their strategy about how they plan to achieve that vision, and they will form goals off of that. And we use a specific goal setting framework called OKRs, which you and I use, Kevin. And for our listeners who don't know what that is, OKRs were created by some really smart guys at Intel. And John Doerr was the one who brought it out of Intel and shared it with the founders of Google when they were still young and working out of a garage. Google used that to achieve world dominance. And then
sponsor us, Google.
Right. And then Doerr, as a venture capitalist, was investing in other giant tech companies that we all know today, and brought it to them, and it just started spreading to, Facebooks and LinkedIn's and all of those huge companies. So not only do they use those types of goals to help keep themselves aligned, but they use goals within their development teams as they're building out the features on these software products. So they'll use very short-term goals, and those all align to those bigger long-term goals. And they use OKRs to make sure everybody in those giant, super complex organizations stay aligned to the top level vision and strategy.
I love it. So we're talking about a strategy that's basically proven at the grandest of scales. We're talking Google, right? World domination, and which is a good way of putting it. They're using something like that. So if you can find a strategy that works for something that large, there's got to be some applicable aspects of it in your own life. And when we think about goals, the way I like to think about it is it's a couple of different ways. Imagine you're an athlete, right? Like, let's say you were playing baseball. Your goal would be to hit the ball. But if you were just to step onto the plate and you swung, not trying to aim for anything, I guess you could make the case of practice swings, but there's always a goal. What my point is there's always something to achieve. And I think we get lost in these grandiose goals, which are good to have, but the grandiose goals are made up of even smaller goals that will basically act as the summation of the byproduct. The grandiose goal becomes a byproduct of the summation of those smaller goals. So that's what I try to remember, because if you create a goal for the year and it's a big goal, it will be easy to get lost and demotivated at the sight of that massive goal. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't dream big, because you absolutely should. Because if you strive to do something that's out of your comfort zone, something that's so large, so massive, it makes you uncomfortable, inevitably you will grow. Yeah, sure, there will be bumps and bruises and failures along the way, but eventually you'll get there. And let's say you aim to have, 10,000 in passive income by next year. But if you make 9,000, 8,000, that's 8,000 more than where you were at. That's not to say that you failed at the 10,000. You didn't achieve that goal, but look at where you were at that point. So I think it's also, it's good to have the goals, but there's a balance of recognizing the success that you've achieved along the way too.
Yeah, I like stretch goals a lot, which is what you're talking about there. And it's important when setting stretch goals to set them so that they're just out of reach. You think there's a chance you could get it if all the stars aligned and you're working as hard as you can and as smart as you can. You could achieve it, but it's more than is likely to happen. And that motivates you and gives you something to work towards, and you can go after it, but you're not demotivated, which is what happens if you set it too far and it's too unattainable. Then you sort of develop the attitude of, well, it's not even realistic. Like, why even bother trying, which you don't want. And then you don't want to set one that's too easy, sandbagging, because that doesn't really motivate you. It's going to happen no matter what. So that's kind of the sweet spot that we're talking about as effective. And Kevin and I like to set an annual goal, and then we like to have shorter term goals. For example, a quarterly goal or a monthly goal that align to that and help us make progress towards it. And then we also like to set a longer term goal, like a 5-year and a 10-year. So it really helps us be focused and intentional about where we're going.
Agreed. And that's a huge thing, to be intentional about it. So I was listening to a recent podcast on the Tim Ferriss podcast, and he had Jerry Seinfeld on. And Jerry Seinfeld is an uber successful comedian. And he has this process of writing where he sets a time, and I'm completely butchering this, so just check out the episode. But basically, he sets a time to write. He doesn't say, "Oh, I'm going to write for the entire day." And he uses this method to coach his own daughter. If you set a goal like that, like I'm just going to invest in real estate, for example, you're going to fail. And his idea there is you have to kind of set a limit as to what you're trying to do, be specific, so that you give yourself that reward of achieving something. In his case with his daughter, he says, nobody can write for a day, all day, the entire day. Set an hour. And then once you've achieved writing for an hour, the act of writing, then give yourself a break, give yourself a reward. But you do that consistently, and that act of practicing it will yield results. And the same holds true with investing or personal development in that regard too. So I just wanted to give that shout out. So I completely butchered it. I'm telling you now. So just check out the episode. No, it's really worth it.
It was good. I listened to the same episode. It was fantastic. And you're right about what he said. I loved it. In fact, I remember him saying to his daughter, no human can write all day, 45 minutes, try that. You know, if you're not at 45 minutes, start at 15, start where you are and then work your way up. I love it. Like that applies to what we're talking about right here.
So speaking of goals, Adam, what are your goals for 2021?
Okay. So I picked one to share. And, I'd like to say that I set more than one goal. I set a goal for each major area of my life. So, I'll set a spiritual goal. I'll set a financial goal. I'll set a health goal. I'll set a family goal. Right. So the one I'm going to talk about, because I feel like it's best in theme with our program here, is the financial goal. So the financial goal I have set for myself for next year is to be an accredited investor by the end of 2021.
I love it.
So it's specific, it's measurable. I believe it's attainable. It's essentially a SMART goal that is what I described earlier. I'm going to be stretching to get there, but I think I can. And so, that's kind of what I came up with after quite a bit of deliberation over the last couple weekends and thinking about it periodically throughout the year.
I love it. That's a very good goal. It's then you can invest in other people's deals as an accredited investor. You can get those prospecti. I don't know what the plural is of prospectus is, but that's really cool. I love that goal.
Kevin, as I was saying this, and we were just talking there, I realized there's one more huge benefit to setting goals. And that is when you share them, other people can help you get there. So people listening to this may reach out to me and be able to help me in some way. And it will kind of compound or, lever up my effort to get there and achieve my goal. So that's huge.
I agree.
What about you, Kevin? What's a big goal that you've set for 2021?
Yeah, so as far as goals, I basically want a 12x where I'm at right now. I guess, it's more of a 12x because right now I have two notes that I'm personally managing. I want that to be 25 or 25 more actually in the next 2021. So that is what I'm hoping for. How that happens, I'm more than open to it. I do think we're going to see a lot of things happen, especially in the mortgage space, which is an unfortunate byproduct of the situation we're in. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't come in there and help somebody, right? Somebody that's been affected by COVID to say, hey, look, let's come up with a plan that works that we can get you on track. That's where I want to be. That's why I got into the business, is to help others who have struggled financially that want to stay in their home. That's why I want to be in the business. And that's what I'm looking to do next year.
I love it. It's fantastic. And what an awesome goal. And, just listening to you talk about that is inspiring, and it makes me want to help you get there. I really hope you do. I'm going to do everything I can as a friend to help you get there. So
I appreciate that.
Go for it, man.
So
Well,
as far as goals go, I just wanted to mention this. There are some people that won't share their goals, and that's fine. It has nothing to do with you if you ask them. Some people love to keep it personal, and that's okay. You can, do what you can to help add value in any way, shape, or form if you feel like it. But as far as goals also, it's important to recognize if somebody has a goal, not to compare your goal to their goal. Your goal is your goal, and you should be 100% focused on that. Because at the end of the day, you should be happy about the goal that you've set for yourself and the effort that you put into it. Take that $10,000 a month, for example. If you put all the effort you did into it and you came up, $5,000 short per month, still you've grown by $5,000 per month in passive income. The skills you learn to get to $5,000 a month, that next year, you're going to knock it out of the park. The networking, all of those things that you did to get to that point can set you up to even further level up into the next year or whatever the next goal is going to be.
I love it. Great stuff there, Kevin. Now, we also talked about the importance of not just setting a personal goal, but setting a team goal. If you're in an organization and working on a team at work or, in your business, even if it's recreationally or on a sports team, it's important for the team to have a goal. So Kevin and I set a goal as the Tech Guys Who Invest. Kevin, you want to tell our listeners what we did?
Yeah, so we want to have 250 reviews on Apple Podcast. And there are a lot of reasons why it's specifically for Apple Podcast, but the biggest one is it's just the one that gives the podcast the most exposure. With enough reviews, you get more exposure in the algorithm, and then more traffic goes to that podcast. You can make the argument that helps with search engine optimization when you Google us, that kind of thing. So that's what we're hoping for. And as a byproduct of those types of reviews, our vision is the more reviews we get, the more exposure we get, the more value we are ultimately adding to the community. And that's what we did this for, so we can help educate people on how to invest, how to take control of your financial journey through investing, whether it's investing in real estate like us or listen to the other guests that do various amounts of other things to, again, take control of that financial journey. So I think that's a very ambitious goal, but I do think that we can absolutely achieve it.
Yeah, I do too. I love it. We're trying to spread the word, get the word out to as many people as we can, so we can, as you said, add value and just help people and bring them along with us, which has always been part of our mission. And we'd love to ask our listeners for help. So if you're listening to this right now and you enjoy the podcast, if you get some value out of it, we'd ask you to please go leave us a review. I mean, you may help us crush our goal before we even get started. We'll have to set an even bigger one, which would be an awesome thing to happen. So yeah, if you can go leave us a review, we would really appreciate it. You can do that at review.tgwipodcast.com. That's review.tgwipodcast.com. And we'll put that in the show notes, of course.
And that's it for this episode. We are really hoping that you have an awesome 2021. 2020 was kind of an odd year, and we're here to help you however we can. If you've got a goal, you want to share it with us, we can help hold each other accountable. Send us an email, techguyswhoinvest@gmail.com. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. That's it for this episode of Tech Guys Who Invest. This is Adam.
This is Kevin. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast for the latest episode updates and to receive additional investor insights to help you invest wisely and safely. You can join the TGWI Insiders community at tgwipodcast.com/subscribe. Lastly, we would love to connect with you. The best way to reach us is by sending us an email at techguyswhoinvest@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody.